Elon Musk and Doge promise to increase your Social Security checks. So that's an interesting turn of events. So we'll talk about that today. Elon Musk and Doge, the team went on Fox and gave an interview, answered some questions. The questions were kind of softball questions, but we'll get into that. I wish he would come on to my show and I'll ask him some actual questions about all things Social Security. But the answers to some of the questions today weren't great, but they were actually excellent in the sense of when you're an adult, you realize that the most important thing is what is not said. So we'll talk about what they said, and most importantly, we'll talk about what they didn't say. That's the key right there to everything. So I think they inadvertently saved Social Security. So thank you, President Trump. Thank you, Elon Musk. Thank you, Doge team, for saving Social Security. Now, millions of people out there are not going to get cut to their Social Security checks if we take advantage of this. But if we just sit on our hands like we have been for the last 30 or 40 years and not keeping our politicians, to make sure those cuts don't happen, then nothing's going to happen. But let's talk about this. All right. So I always void copyright infringements particularly from Fox. So I'm going to show this on my little cell phone. So I apologize for that.
Benefits. Legitimate people, as a result of the work of Doge, will receive more Social Security, not less. I want to emphasize that. As a result of the work of Doge, legitimate recipients of Social Security will receive more money, not less money. All right. I want to emphasize that point and let the record show that I said this, and it will be proven out to be true. Let's check back on this in the future.
Okay, we'll check back We'll check back with you in the future. So I'm not exactly sure how Elon Musk and Doge is going to increase your Social Security benefits, because your Social Security benefits, as my regular viewers know, is based on how much you pay into Social Security, your high 35 years of earnings. And then to take a calculation of that, they index it for the wage index. They take your high 35 years of earnings and they multiply by these bin points, 90%, 32%, 15%. And so the calculations are written by Congress, by law. That's how your benefits are calculated. Not exactly sure how he's going to get in there unless he gives everybody a whole bunch extra money to put in their earnings record. Whether he increases the bin points, I'm not exactly sure how he's going to increase our Social Security benefits, but we will check back in with him and find out.
Washington Post, the Social Security Administration website crashed 4 times in 10 days this month because the servers were overloaded, blocking millions of retirees and disabled veterans from logging into their online accounts. Freaked people out. Is that going to change?
Yes, we're going to make sure that the website stays online.
Yeah. But is it a result of going in there or something you're doing?
The amount of issues or the Social Security system are enormous. As an example, there are over 15 million people that are over the age of 120 that are marked as alive in the Social Security system.
And that's an accurate figure.
Yeah, correct. 15 million. Correct. This has been something that's been identified as a problem. Again, pre-existing problems since 2008 at least.
2008.
From an IG report. So there are some great people working at the Social Security Administration that found this 2008, and nothing was done. And so 15 to 20 million Social Security numbers that were clearly fraudulent were floating around that can be used only for bad intentions. There'd be no way to use this for good intentions. And so one of the things the Doge team is doing is carefully and very methodically looking at those and making sure that any fraudulent ones are eliminated.
Okay. All right. So this is an old chestnut that's been around. He is correct since 2008. But the question he was asked is the servers are going to go down. And then he says, well, did you hear about this story about the millions of people that are, deceased that are still, have Social Security numbers? Yes. Well, it's been around since 2008. Why are you using that to explain why the servers are going down? So I think that's a little misdirection there. But the regular viewers to my channel know about this. Yes, it was 2008. Social Security was told by the Inspector General, you have a bunch of Social Security numbers that haven't been closed out. And Social Security says, yes, they are a bunch of, from the 1970s, the old paper type stuff, legacy Maybe that person moved overseas, or somebody typed it up on the old IBM Selectric typewriter back in 1976 and mistyped the social security number, and they're just hanging out there. No money comes from that database. Zero money comes from that database they're looking at. And Social Security said, Congress gives us X amount of money every single year, a very, very low amount of money. Social Security has about a 1% overhead in terms of administrative costs. I don't think Tesla has a less than 1% overhead. I don't think any of these CEOs of these companies that these guys represent have a 1% overhead, but Social Security has a 1% overhead. So they are very, very, very running on a razor thin. And Social Security has said, no money is coming out of that. The taxpayers are not losing any money. Yes, we should fix it. We realize we should fix it, but taxpayers not losing any money. To fix it is going to cost a lot of money. They estimated anywhere from $5 to $8 million to correct those things correctly. How do you do it? Is you have to go through each single one, and you can't do it in 3 weeks. So if Elon Musk wants to spend his money fixing those, hopefully he's spending his money and not our money fixing those things. It's kind of like, they came into a house. Elon Musk looked at the house and says, "Oh, this house, aka Social Security Administration, is condemned. It's got mold and termites, and the foundation is destroyed, and it's just, it's terrible. It's the worst house I've ever seen in the entire world." And then he goes into the house and gets in there. So they're in Social Security deep, and he gets in there, and I'm like, "Oh, wait, there is no termite. There are no termites. There are no mold. The foundation is, oh, there's one picture on the wall that's a little bit crooked." So, and the crooked one is those little Social Security numbers that don't really matter in the grand scale of things. There's 360 million Social Security numbers out there, and they're worrying about a few million that no money is coming out of. If Congress wanted those things fixed years ago, then Congress would have said, "Hey, fix those things," and Social Security would be more than happy to fix it. But Congress didn't want those to be fixed because they have been using that as a club. Particular politicians, I'm looking at you, Senator from Louisiana. Other politicians have been using it too, but he's kind of the focus of it. So they have been using this as a club to beat up Social Security forever. They said, "Well, we can't give you any money because y'all are incompetent." Did you hear about these Social Security numbers? Everything is about these Social Security numbers. I wish they hurry up, fix it, because it's like we should use that from now on. It's like, "Hey, Ed, how come you don't have any hair? Have you heard about these Social Security numbers? Hey, honey, why didn't you take out the garbage? Honey, did you hear about these Social Security numbers?" I'm going to start blaming everything on these Social Security numbers. So anyway, all right, let's go on to the next one. So the Social Security computer system has been down. I've got a lot of people that jump in here during the live Q&A and says, "Hey, it's down, it's down, it's down," and somehow Social Security numbers since 2008 are the reason. I don't think so.
Cannot pass an audit.
Next one.
In fact, in order to pass an audit, you need the information necessary to pass an audit. You need to have the payment codes, you need to have the payment explanation, and you need to have a person you can contact to understand why that payment was made. None of those things were mandatory until just recently, just a few weeks ago. In fact, maybe last week.
Yeah, we're serving 580 plus agencies, and up until very recently, effectively they could say make the payment, and Treasury just sent it out as fast as possible. No verification. And so what we're doing is what any household would do. But imagine you're a household, you have a bank account, everyone has an ATM card connected to that account, everyone has a checkbook connected to that account. It's not just your children, it's not just your parents, it's your in-laws, it's your extended family, and they all can go to the account and disperse funds. No questions asked, no justification, no verification.
Okay, that is also 100% incorrect. So if he wants to use the family thing, so you have a family, you've got your checkbook in the family, and the dad or the mom or whoever checks and make sure the kids are spending money, yada, yada, yada. And then you go ahead and write a check. Mom says, "Okay, go ahead and buy that new PlayStation," or whatever the case may be. And then you write a check. And then what he's saying is the bank should go in there and say, "Hey, Bank of America or Wells Fargo or whatever should go into that family and say, 'Hey, why are you buying this PlayStation?'" Because the justifications are in those particular agencies. So I focus on Social Security. The Social Security, there are codes to every single payment that goes out. Every single payment that goes out has a corresponding MBR, master beneficiary record. And for those of you that used to get the old letters, so they've changed them. but you used to have a little letter at the end of your Social Security number if you're receiving Social Security benefits. If you're receiving them on your own record, you get your Social Security number, an A. If you're a child, you're getting C1. If you're a spouse getting them, it's a B. If you're a widow, it's a W. So that tells you that's the code of why you're getting that benefits. I don't know why another separate agency, the Department of Treasury, wants to go in there and second guess. Okay, why is that child? Why is that spouse? Why are you receiving disability benefits? That makes no sense whatsoever. So he just doesn't understand how the system works. All right, let's see what else.
Common sense wise would say the fraud's got to end. Yeah. They're concerned about the 94-year-old mother who skips a check or somehow doesn't get what she's supposed to get.
Right. And what we're trying to say is actually that the 94-year-old grandmother is actually, as a result of Doge's work, going to get her check. She's not going to be robbed by fraudsters like she's getting robbed today. And the solvency of the federal government will ensure that she continues to receive those Social Security checks, that Medicare continues to work, without which we're all doomed. And the reason we're doing this is because if we don't do it, America's going to go insolvent, we're going to go bankrupt, and nobody's going to get anything.
All right, so kind of a savior complex there. If it's not for him and his team, then we're all doomed. And people call me a fearmonger. So this is the issue with Social Security. We all know, regular viewers to my channel know that in a few years, time is coming up. In a few years, we're going to get cuts to our Social Security check. Why? Because this much comes in FICA taxes every year, interest on, the treasury bonds and people that pay taxes on Social Security and regular FICA, that comes in, this much comes in every year, that much goes out. And a couple of years ago, it was about $70 billion gap. Last year, the numbers aren't in yet, probably about $100 billion gap. Where does that $70 billion, $100 billion come from? It comes from the trust fund. The trust fund. So every year, that savings that the baby boomers built up, it comes out of there. But the problem is that trust fund is slowly being depleted. That was the intent of the trust fund. It was to cover that gap of the baby boomers. They put the money in, they deserve it. When the trust fund runs out, we're going to get this much coming in, that much going out, and there's nothing going to be in there to cover the gap. So by law, Social Security can only pay out what it receives in unless there is a savings. And so in 2034, probably a little bit earlier now, 2033, you're going to get about a 22% cut. Everybody's going to get a cut. If some of the things that the current administration are talking about, no taxes on Social Security, which I kind of agree with, but that's also going to deplete the trust fund sooner, probably about 2031 and about 33% cuts. And that's a reality. I've got in my YouTube channel, you can go down there and you can see the Congressional Budget Office. You can see the actuary report. You can see the Social Security trustees report. That is a fact of life. The reason we haven't fixed this is not Trump's fault. It's not Elon Musk's fault. It's not Doge's fault. It's all of them. It's Trump because he was president for 4 years before. It was Biden's fault. It was Obama's fault. It was Bush's fault. It was Clinton's fault. And every politician for the last few decades. They haven't done their job to fix it. So we're going to get cuts. Why haven't they done their job? Not because there's not solutions. If you look at my YouTube channel description, you can see the actuary report. He's got a whole spreadsheet of solutions, dozens of super solutions that you could get your grade school kids to come up with. And okay, we'll do this one. And there, it's fixed. But the problem is political will. We haven't gotten our politicians to fix it. Why? Because they keep distracting us with stupid distractions. Look over here while they pick our pocket over here. One of those distractions is, well, the Social Security Trust Fund has been stolen. It's been raided. So as soon as we're looking for it, we're looking for that $2.6 trillion. And as soon as we find it, then we'll put it back in there and everything will be hunky-dory. Yeah, no, they've been saying that for decades. And Social Security Trust Fund is fake. They've been saying that since 1936. It's all just monopoly the money and fake IOUs. They've been saying that forever, which is interesting because the Wall Street, billionaires, they want that money really, really bad, and they know it's not fake. And why else would they want it if it's not fake? So that's one of the things. So you didn't see Elon Musk and Doge say, "Oh, and yeah, we found that the trust fund was stolen." You didn't hear him say that, did you? So that one, off the table. The Social Security Trust Fund is fake IUs. Didn't say that, did they? What's some of the other distractions that politicians have been pulling on us? It's been given out to illegals. All the money's been given out to illegals, undocumented immigrants. Did you see him talk about that? Oh, we just found that billions of dollars were given out to illegal aliens, undocumented immigrants. Did he say that? No. If he would have found that, would he said something? Of course he would. That one's fixed. The deep state corruption in Social Security, they're the ones in there. The guy said, hey, Social Security employees are doing a great job. So no deep state conspiracy there, off the table. What else? Massive fraud that, giving out this massive fraud. No, Social Security, if they would have found this massive fraud, they found, again, a few Social Security numbers that should be closed out. Yes, we all agree they should be closed out. If you want to spend your money closing them out, go have fun, take your juice box over there. But we need serious people to talk about serious issues in Social Security and massive fraud. Social Security, yes. Is there fraud in Social Security? One of the things they did, which is good, is it's going to cause a lot of people a lot of aggravation, is they were talking about direct deposit fraud. And the guy that was talking about direct deposit fraud, I don't know, I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. He either lied or he just misspoke. I'll say he misspoke. He said 40% of all calls coming into Social Security are direct deposit fraud. No. And then the next day on a bunch of news channels, you'll see that, 40% of all calls coming into Social Security are direct deposit fraud. No, that's not what the IG report said. What the IG report said was 40% of direct deposit frauds are from phone calls. That's it. It's, it's kind of like the in the Anchorman where the guy says, he's taking the men's cologne and he's saying 40% of the time it works 100% of the time or something. So yeah, this guy is a math whiz, but he doesn't understand percentages anyway. So no. So they did make a policy change that they said, okay, if you can't change your direct deposit online, then you'll have to go down to the local Social Security office. And okay, I think that might be a good change. There was a lot of fraud and people calling up and, trying to change their mother's or ex-boyfriend or, ex-spouse or whatever, their Social Security number or their direct deposit to get those checks and cause them harm. And, so, okay, that's fine. But that's it. That's the only two things they found, the Social Security numbers. And as soon as they get that, they're going to be done. They've got that checked off the list. Politicians can't use that against us. The only weapon that politicians have against us now to prevent us from coming together, because over 80% of people support strengthening Social Security and 73 million people support not having their Social Security checks cut. I don't think okay, it's like 4 out of 5 dentists. There might be some people out there, yeah, go ahead and cut my Social Security, no big deal. I guess the Commerce Secretary's mother-in-law, I guess she doesn't mind if Social Security numbers, if their check are cut. But 80% plus, every time there's a poll, 80% of plus people say yes, Social Security could stay strengthened, make sure the cuts aren't happen. And the last weapon that politicians have is the weapon I see in my live Q&A right here. This is the last weapon they can use against us. And that weapon is division. That's the last weapon they have. All of the other BS, trust funds stolen, empty, given to this group, given to Ukraine, all that, Elon Musk and Doge have done us a big favor by finally clearing the decks and say, yeah, we didn't find any of that crap. Sorry, politicians have been using that BS story for decades. We just didn't find it. Did we tell you about the Social Security numbers? So this is it. So anybody that tells you, they come at you and they attack you, and this is the last bastion of, a scoundrel, I guess, is just attack the other side. So when all these people that have already, put in my live Q&A, I'm an idiot. You're right. I'm a libtard, fascist, communist, Nazi, socialist, fearmonger, radical, reactionary, extremist, Marxist, authoritarian, traitor. Now that we've got that on the way, how can we make sure our Social Security check don't get cut in the future. And sometimes you might have to change this. So if someone is really, really far gone, there's people out there that don't care about themselves or their family or friends as long as they can stick it to the other side. So they're willing to suffer as long as you suffer too. So in that case, you'll have to change the bottom to maybe, how can we make sure your Social Security check is not cut in the future? So if you add R in there, they might say, well, then I want you to suffer. So yeah, some people are too far gone and we really can't help them. But all right, so that's the situation. Now they can't hold anything against us except for division. We come together and we force them and reach out to your politicians and say, hey, what are you doing to strengthen Social Security? What are you doing to make sure the cuts don't happen in the future? What are you doing to make sure, Social Security is here for my kids and my grandkids and all the rest of it? Reach out to your politicians. And when they use all of that trust fund and given to illegals and massive fraud and all that kind of stuff, then tell them, well, how come Doge and Elon Musk didn't seem to find any of that? What's going on there? So reach out to your politicians. There's the senator, the representative, Capitol switchboard. Reach out to the president, go on to their social media, talk to local news, and we can use this as an opportunity to finally fix Social Security. And thank you, Elon Musk, and thank you, Doge. Not sure they intended it, but hey, we'll take it as we get it. All right, so let's jump into a bunch of questions, and I'll even respond to some of the people that called me all those names. Sorry, old Marine Corps sergeant. I love being attacked. So I'm 64, date of birth, August 60, SSDI for 30 years, was married 20 years, estranged from husband since 2010. He died 2015. What's my best course of action to maximize benefits? Well, you are 64 years old. About 4 years ago, you should have checked to see if you were entitled to survivor benefits. So survivor benefits, widow, widower, same thing. You can start at 60 years old. And a lot of people on disability don't know that. They say, well, if I get survivor benefits, then sure, it's more money, maybe, depends on your situation. It might be more money, but then I'll lose my disability because I'll be on survivor benefits. And because I'm, 60, 61, I'll lose my Medicare. That is 100% incorrect. If you are eligible for survivor benefits at 60 or 64 now, get them. What will happen is they will go on top of your disability benefits. One will offset the other. You don't get two full checks, one offsets the other. But because you still have disability, your Medicare will continue. So call Social Security and give them that person's information. If you don't know the Social Security number, no problem. Just give them the person's name, date of birth, wherever they were born, as best as you know that information. And they'll be able to find the person's Social Security number, and they'll see how much that person's benefit amount is, and they'll see if you're entitled to those benefits. Another thing you should do, that you're coming up on their 65th birthday, that's when you can, at 65, you can switch from a Medicare Advantage plan to a Medicare supplement plan. In most states, if you're receiving Medicare because of a disability under 65, then you can't get a Medicare supplement plan. All you can get is a Medicare Advantage plan. But when you turn 65, they can't deny you. No health underwriting, no extra, they don't charge you extra or anything like that. So definitely check it out.